Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for tonight's NBA slate on Friday, May the 12th. We do have two games once again on Friday night. We got Game 6 of the Heat and Knicks series. Miami's going back home with a chance to close things out at home, and then we got Game 6 of the Lakers and Warriors series. Lakers going back home with a chance to close that thing out at home as well. So two elimination games on Friday night. We're going to talk through two props I do like for these two games. I do have a play that I like from each game. So we're going to talk through these two plays. We're going to share why I like them. Before we do get started, though, breaking down the plays, as always, if you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos and if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below. I always do appreciate the likes, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you have never checked out Prizepicks before, you can actually sign up for Prizepicks and use my promo code Noah. If you do look at the bottom of the screen or just click the link down in the description, when you do sign up for Prizepicks, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. So you deposit $50, they'll give you an additional $50 to play with. You deposit $100, they'll give you an additional $100 to play with. And it is Flex Friday today, so for today's promo, Prizepicks, your first flex play that you place after 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, it is risk-free up to $20. So if you put $20 on a 5-pick flex play or a 6-pick flex play or 4-pick, 3-pick, whatever, that'll be risk-free. If you put $20 on it and it loses, you'll get that $20 back in promo funds tomorrow. So pretty cool promo that Prizepicks usually runs every single Friday. That's kind of another reason you want to be playing over there. They have the risk-free promo. They have Taco Tuesday. A lot of stuff they're doing, so get over to Prizepicks, guys. Again, use that promo code Noah when you do sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. Now, I do want to talk through our two plays from yesterday. I do want to recap those before we talk through today's plays. So in yesterday's video, we gave out two picks. Unfortunately, we did not hit both of our picks. We only hit one of our two picks yesterday. We did hit the over on Jamal Murray's fantasy score at 40. Jamal Murray, he did actually get downgraded to questionable during the day yesterday with an illness. I was a little worried that, even if he didn't play, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been a refund. But I was a little bit worried that if Murray did play, that he maybe wouldn't have been 100%. But he looked pretty good. I watched a lot of that game yesterday. Murray played really well. I think he finished with 45 fantasy points. He went over pretty, I want to say somewhat quick. I think he went over towards the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter. Even with the Nuggets blowing them out, Murray was able to get it done for us. But unfortunately, we also took the over on Jason Tatum's fantasy score. And Tatum managed to put up 46 fantasy points. We needed 52 from him, so he came up, just 6 points short. He had the worst 46 fantasy point game I've ever seen. I mean, he shot 5 for 21 to start the first quarter. In the first quarter, I think he was 0 for 10 from the field. He had 1 point at halftime, I'm pretty sure, or something close to that. He had 2 or 3 points at halftime. Somehow he still had 23 fantasy points at halftime because he had 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 2 blocks, I think. It was a poor shooting game though from Tatum, which really killed us. He was able to get some rebounds, get some assists, get some defensive stats, which is kind of what I talked about in yesterday's video. I said in yesterday's video that Tatum, he didn't have to have a huge scoring game to go over that fantasy score line, and I didn't expect him to have as bad of a scoring game as he did. I mean, if he would have shot 7 for 21 or 8 for 21, that would have been good enough, but he had to shoot 5 for 21. Of course, he goes off in the fourth quarter after playing like crap the first 3 quarters, goes off in the fourth quarter. He blue balled us. I thought maybe we were going to get a lucky cash there in the fourth quarter. Tatum was going to get there for us, but ultimately came up 6 fantasy points short, which was super annoying. Felt like Tatum played like crap and almost got us there still. But it is what it is, man. We move on to Friday's slate, so let's talk through the 2 picks I do like for tonight. And the first one is going to be another fantasy score prop. Both the plays I do like for today are going to be some fantasy score props. This is a guy that I don't like betting on too often. Seems like anytime I take an over on him, he always underperforms when I take an over on him. But this line of 34.5 on Bam Adebayo does feel too low to me, and I'm going to be taking more than 34.5 fantasy score for Bam Adebayo. So you look so far in the series, the last 5 games against the Knicks, Bam has gone over this line in 3 out of his last 5. Technically, one of the games he went under. I mean, he went under by 1.5 points. I mean, he was just there. Bam, throughout his career, since he's been with Miami this season, he's been a guy that typically averages over a fantasy point per minute. And so far in the playoffs, his fantasy point per minute production has been down a little bit. So far in the playoffs, he's only averaged 1.05 fantasy points per minute, whereas during the regular season, he averaged 1.14 fantasy points per minute. So his per minute production's been a little bit down, in the postseason. but the minutes have been really, really strong, and that's what we kind of want to bank on here. Bam, if he plays 37, 38, 39 minutes, I would bank on him going over 34.5 fantasy score more times than not. I don't think this is like the greatest matchup for Bam. The Knicks have a really good interior defense. Mitchell Robinson is a really good defender, but this is strictly just kind of like a minutes play for me. And with how Bam can contribute in all categories, similar to Jason Tatum, obviously, Bam is not nearly the same scorer that Tatum is, but Bam can have games where he gets like 14 points, but then he can get like 10 rebounds and 4 assists and 2 blocks and a steal. He can just do everything when he's on the floor. They'll let him facilitate. I think last game Bam had like 12 potential assists and only finished with 2 assists. So he got like really unlucky. He should have had way more assists than he did last game. Still went over this fantasy score by 0.1. But again, this is strictly just a minutes play for me. If Bam's going to play close to 40 minutes, which he probably will if this game's competitive, you look at the last 2 games, Bam's played 38 and 39 minutes. If we're getting 38, 39, 40 minutes from Bam, he should average around a fantasy point per minute. I would have this line at like 37.5, 36.5. I definitely think 34.5 is like a point or two too low. And if you do look at games played this season where Bam has gotten at least 38 minutes, including the playoffs, there's been 15 total games this season where Bam's played at least 38 minutes. He's over this fantasy score line in 12 out of 15 games. So again, more times than not, when he's getting 38, 39, 40 minutes, which is what he should play here, barring foul trouble or barring a random blowout, I would bank on him going over 34.5 fantasy score. Hopefully, Bam doesn't play like complete shit tonight. It seems like anytime I take an over on Bam, he just plays like complete shit. He's one of these guys I can just never get right, but definitely think this line's a few points too low. It's really hard to find, a ton of props to love in the postseason, man. The lines, I've said this before, the lines are just so tight. They're so sharp. But this is a fantasy score prop that I definitely feel like could be a little bit higher. So that's the first play that I do like for today. And then the other play that I like in the Lakers-Warriors game, another fantasy score prop, I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins' fantasy score of 29.5. I also think this line's a little bit too low. Now, Wiggins so far in this series against the Lakers, he hasn't been great in terms of a fantasy points perspective. You look at his 5 games against the Lakers, he's only gone over this in 2 out of 5 games, but he did have one of his arguably his best game of the series last game, put up 42.9 fantasy points. In that game, I think he had like 25 points, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. Wiggins, he's another one of these guys that when he's on the floor, he can do a little bit of everything. He can score, he's a good rebounder, he can get some assists, and he can also get defensive stats. We have seen games where Wiggins gets, multiple steals, multiple blocks. And I've said this so many times, when you're taking fantasy score props, those blocks and steals really add up quickly. If you can get guys that can get multiple steals and multiple blocks, I mean, that's 3 points for each one of them. So Wiggins gonna play big minutes, very similar to Bam here. You look at his minutes over these recent games. Last game got up to 36 minutes. The game before that, 39 minutes. Last game was a blowout. Obviously the Warriors won that game pretty easily. I know Wiggins did get subbed out early in that one, but the last game that was competitive, I believe that was game 4. Wiggins did play 39 minutes. So typically when we're getting a competitive game, we have seen a lot of blowouts in this series. I think game 2 was a blowout. Last game was a blowout. But game 4 was competitive. Wiggins played 39 minutes in that one. Game 1 was competitive. I do believe Wiggins played 34 minutes in that one. I would bank on more times than not, he's kind of in the upper 30s in minutes, especially with this being like a must-win game for the Warriors. Obviously, if they lose this game, their season's over. Their rotations are probably going to be pretty tight here. They didn't have to run a super tight rotation last game just because they had the game in hand pretty much all throughout. But this is a spot, especially playing in LA, where I think the Warriors are going to have to keep things tight, really trust their main guys. And I'm expecting 36, 37, 38 minutes for Andrew Wiggins here. He's another guy that typically averages around a fantasy point per minute. His permanent production in the playoffs has also been down a little bit compared to the regular season, not by much though. In the regular season, Wiggins averaged 0.97 fantasy points per minute. In the playoffs, he's averaged 0.94, so not too much of a difference. But again, when he's playing like 36, 37, 38 minutes, and he's going to average close to a fantasy point per minute, this line does feel a little bit too low to me. If you take a look at Wiggins this season in games where he's played at least 36 minutes, he's over this fantasy score line in 11 out of 14 games. In the games where he went under, he barely went under. He had 29, 26.3, and 26.2 fantasy points. So this is another fantasy score prop I like for Andrew Wiggins here. I feel like this line should be like 31.5, 32.5. I definitely think 29.5 is a bit too low. But this is what I'm liking for tonight's slate, guys. 2 picks. Hopefully, we can win some money tonight. Get back our losses from last night. Last night was frustrating, man. Really felt like we should have cashed last night. Tatum really let us down. Had a very, very poor shooting game. Just needed him to shoot just a little bit better from the field. I think he shot like, 27% or something. If he would have shot 33%, we would have been fine. But, it is what it is. We move on to Friday, and let's try and catch these 2 plays for Friday night. So that's what I'm liking, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you watching as always. Make sure you hit that like button down below if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And be sure to go check out Prizepicks as well. If you guys are not signed up for Prizepicks yet, get signed up over there. Use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up, you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up with my promo code. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Wish you the best of luck on this slate. Hopefully we can all win some money tonight, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.